I'm Jonny Benjamin and I'm in London, UK at the moment. I was meant to be in Australia at this point, but because of the coronavirus, of course, I've had to cancel my trip. I'm gutted because I was so looking forward to being part of the Winter Solstice, and it was meant to be my first trip to Australia. But I will make it. I will make it there for sure. Um, but I feel very privileged to be part of this. And for me, mental health and suicide is something that's been a massive part of my life, my journey. I mean, my own mental health issues started very young. So I was 5 when my parents first took me to a child psychologist. I think we all knew from a young age that I wasn't like a typical kid. I always felt really different to everyone around me growing up in school, and yeah, I found it difficult. I mean, I was doing well in my schoolwork and exams, but I don't know. I always found like being around people. I found it hard. I think I really began to suffer when I was in my mid-teens. I um I used to get these horrendous low periods, and I just didn't understand what was going on. We didn't talk about mental health or anything like that when I was growing up. I just thought, well, I thought it would somehow pass, and this was something I needed to deal with myself, and I didn't want people to know what was going on. I was embarrassed, like most people. I was really embarrassed, and for me, I thought I could run away from everything in my head. So I ran away when I was 17 to Manchester, and then 18. Anyway, I went away to the north of England, to Manchester, to study. I thought that would be a fresh start for me, and it would solve all this stuff in my head. But it didn't, and things got worse when I moved away from my family and my friends, and I ended up having a psychotic breakdown when I was 20. And at that point, I was put into a psychiatric hospital, and I was given a diagnosis, which is schizoaffective disorder. It's like a combination of schizophrenia and bipolar. And that for me was, it felt like the end when I got that diagnosis and when I was put into hospital. So as well, for me, I was really struggling with my sexuality as well, and I come from a Jewish family, and yeah, being gay just, it was extremely tough. And a month into my stay in this psychiatric hospital, I uh, I just I snapped. I literally snapped. Hit something in my head, snapped, and I was like, can't do this anymore. Just just too painful. And uh, at that point, I said I'm going to run away from the hospital. I'm going to go to a bridge, and that's it. Uh, there was just no other way. There seemed no other way to resolve what was going on. And yeah, I ended up running away from the hospital, and I went to a bridge and I went on the edge. For me, I wasn't on the edge for very long when this stranger came along and he stood next to me. And he just, I don't know, he just began to talk, and I didn't want him there. I just wanted to be left alone, but there was something about him. He was just so grounded and present and open and really just patient with me. I hadn't experienced an interaction like this before. In the hospital where I was on the suicide ward, as they called it. You know, I was observed all the time, 24/7, and people just would observe. They didn't talk, they just observed. But there was just something so different about this guy that was next to me on the bridge. He just he wanted to listen and to help. And I mean, for me, we talked. I felt safe. I didn't feel judged. I think that was the key. I didn't feel judged at all with this guy. But I think it was him saying to me, he said, "Mate, you'll be alright." Just really casually and confidently and just so positively. He just, he said, "You'll be alright, mate. You'll get through this." And I don't know, it was hearing that from someone that kind of changed something in me on that bridge. Eventually, this stranger convinced me to go for a coffee, and we were about to go, and he helped me off the edge to the pavement, the sidewalk, and someone had called the police, and the police charged in, and they separated us. But what that stranger did, in his words, they had an impact on me, and I felt a bit of hope, I think, from this guy being so positive with me. I felt a bit of hope. And that hope, well, that hope started off like a tiny seed, and eventually grew. It took a long time, and for me, it's an ongoing journey. I have my relapses, but it's different. It is different today. It's I guess I talk about it now today. I don't hide it anymore, and actually now I ask for help now, which has taken me a long time to do. But I take my medication today, and I have therapy. I use different techniques. So this is, I like to show how mindfulness works in this jar. This jar, as you can see, it's full of glitter. And the glitter is kind of like my mind or our minds. It can be so full and cluttered and overwhelming at times, but the mindfulness or meditation, yoga, it just settles stuff for me in my head, and I get finally some peace of mind. And just to know that I can find some peace of mind, even if things are really messy in my head, it makes a big difference. But the thing that helps me most of all is was something my therapist said to me a couple of years ago. He said, Johnny, he said, it's not your fault, it's the way that your brain is wired. And it really helped when he said that. We separate our heads from the rest of us, our mind and our body, we separate it. I think one day we'll stop doing that. And my particular message is always, what happens in here, in the brain, is no different to what happens anywhere else. And, if something happens in your body, if you have a heart attack, you don't hide it. You don't try and push it away. You'll get help straight away. And why do we treat our heart differently from our head? That's my kind of message. I do a lot of work with young people. My biggest passion is getting through to young people. If I'd have got something at school, I think things would have been different. But I think the thing that I'm most kind of proud of is a few years ago, I decided to find that guy on the bridge that stopped me. And I launched an online search, social media, and it just kind of took off. And the amazing thing was we were reunited, which was just, it was just incredible, to be able to thank him for what he did that day. And then we've since gone on to work together, and we've spoken at places around the world, and I've written books and made films, and things are really different today. But I think for me, the key thing is it's being part of humanity, really feeling like part of humanity, especially I think during this time, coronavirus. And I mean, of course, in Australia, you've been through so much with the virus, and then before that, the fires at the start of this year, and humanity really being there for one another is just so important. And this is why, I was so looking forward to the Winter Solstice, because it's all about community. And I just wanted to say thank you for letting me be a part of it. It's a real privilege, and next year, I want to be there next year. Until then, thank you, and take care, and look after yourselves and look after each other.